Hey guys, so this is a moderation, or this is a speed panel about monetization, and we're changing it up a little bit because we have, our panelists up here that have a lot of interesting real-world examples and advice that they could provide to you about monetization, both about ad monetization and IAP monetization. What we did differently here is that we sent out questions to the panelists in advance, and so we have the answers from the panelists, and we're going to be putting them up onto the screen, and then we can just start the discussion from there. And the whole idea is really to get some actionable items of how you guys can monetize your games a little bit better, both with IAP and ad monetization. So, just to introduce myself, I'm Chris Lamb. I work for a company called HyperMX. We're based in New York, and we are a video-based ad network, and we work to bring Fortune 500 brands into mobile games.
So yeah, this is me. I'm Janos. I'm founder of Fluffy Fairy Games, and we have this one title out. It's called Idle Miner Tycoon, and it's like heavily based on ad revenue. So about like 60% of our revenue comes from ads.
Great. And Alicia?
Hi, my name is Alicja Drożdżyk. I'm working at Kahub. We're based in Finland and in Amsterdam. And I'm responsible for growth. We have basically casual titles targeted at women mostly.
So to jump right into it, what I asked the panelists are a couple of the major avoidable mistakes that you can make from a monetization perspective. So we had a couple great answers here. Find a good mediation platform, but don't trust solely on auto optimization. Maybe you guys want to comment on how do you pick a mediation platform? There's so many options available out there.
Well, it's definitely the best thing to do is just talk to your friends, talk to other people, and ask what's good, what platform they had good experiences with, and definitely also keep up good relationships with the platforms themselves, and just talk to them and see what changes there.
Yeah, so when we started with the company, we were pretty new to the whole gaming thing, and we didn't have any relations to any platform or to any ad provider, and so we just went from the technical perspective and chose the mediation platform who works the best way, or the best technical way for us.
And do you mind sharing who you use for mediation?
Yeah, so for us it was Iron Source, so we were pretty happy with the mediation, and it worked fine from a technical perspective.
Great. The second answer, not segmenting users, I find this really interesting because between the two of you, one of you said that that's one of the biggest mistakes, and then the other one, on another question, actually said that you don't segment users at all. So maybe you guys want to comment on how useful segmenting is, and on the other hand, why you feel like you don't need to segment, and comments.
Okay, I'll start. Well, I do believe segmenting is quite important because if you do have users who make in-app purchases frequently, or you predict that some segment of users will actually do that, there's no point really in disrupting their gameplay with ads, with for example being too aggressive with ads. So in this sense, it's also good, for example, to give people the opportunity to make an in-app purchase and get rid of ads. And also, it's a good practice to segment offers based on whether people are spenders or non-spenders.
Yeah, so I kind of see it the same way. In our games, we see ads as a central thing. So there's no annoying interstitials, but you can watch rewarded videos for a bonus or something like that. And we're keeping that option for every player. So there's no ad in a purchase or something like that.
Right, right. So I asked both of you what the rewarded video ECPMs that you guys are seeing in tier 1 geos. Obviously, the range that we got back was pretty wide, between $10 and $25. Can you guys maybe talk about, like, is there a huge difference that you're seeing between iOS and Android? I know a few years ago there was, big discrepancies on, ECPMs were much stronger on iOS versus Android, and why are you seeing around $10 versus some other networks are giving you $25?
Yeah, so like for us, it's like there's not so much difference between like Android and iOS for the tier 1 countries. There's like big differences in the countries itself, in the tier 1 countries, or depending on the like definition. US, the states are way better than, for example, the UK for us in terms of like ECPMs.
I mean, I see quite a similar thing, so not much of a difference between Android and iOS. And also quite a few differences in tier 1, like, as you said, US is also best for us, and for example, in comparison to Sweden, which is performing quite not that great there.
Cool. And so do you guys have deals with ad networks? What we've been hearing more and more recently is that publishers and developers are basically doing deals for first position or even first impression to certain ad networks. We had, again, a wide range of answers. Some saying no deals. Some saying you're auctioning off your first position. Maybe you want to talk about what the benefits of doing these deals for first position or first impression are. I'm not sure which one of you are doing the deals.
Yes, so we're doing deals for first position and second position, and for us it's like there are ad networks out there who are like try to be really aggressive and get inventory and save inventory for themselves, and they normally like pay more if you promise them like the first position. And of course this is something we do, and yeah, I guess like we developed some strong relationships with a few of them, and it's like the thing they want is like stability and of course like the best inventory for them.
Right. So your advice is to actively engage with the ad networks that you're working with?
Yeah, of course. So if you have like a decent size and a decent inventory, they are happy to talk to you and offer you like a first position deal.
Right.
So basically now we don't really have deals with networks, but that doesn't mean that it's not good to do so. Basically, as I mentioned, you have to have a good relationship, and it's always good to see what kind of deals you can have. And what I would say is rather good to make the deal, but not make long-term deals if you're not sure about the quality of traffic, for example. So you have to kind of know where you're standing, also kind of have transparency, and then yeah, just negotiate.
Cool. So we asked the panelists, what the optimal number of video networks to work with. Obviously, the majority of publishers and developers are working with mediation platforms, so it's really easy to add in new networks. But you could end up with 15 or 20 if you kind of go crazy. So we got answers anywhere from 4 to 5, and then the less number, the better. Any comments there?
Well, I think it's not about the number, so you can have 3, 5, and that will work great. Or you can have just 2 and 1, and that might also work well. I think it more depends on, first of all, how many daily active users you actually have. Because if you don't have enough, then there's no point in having 5 different networks in a waterfall. The other super important thing is integration and good tech. So if you want to use rewarded videos and you don't have a good integration, it's it's just not going to work.
Yeah, so it's I have kind of like the same opinion about it. So you really have to focus on like good networks. So like on the right side, those are like, I guess one of the major ones. They all have good technical integration, but at some point you have to, I guess you have to focus on just a few of them.
So how do you guys determine whether their tech is solid without actually going through the integration first? Like, is it purely by, talking with fellow developers and publishers, seeing what their experiences are? Like, how do you vet a network?
Well, it definitely does come down to a lot of conversations within the industry with people who've had positive or negative experiences with certain networks. But yeah, it's also a matter of even if you decide to go with a network, with being able to then turn it off if it happens that it's not working. So you have to have the possibility to be elastic there.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So this is the last question on the panel, which where I wanted these guys to list some of the games that they thought used IAP or ads really well. The one thing I thought was really interesting was that both of you listed Farmaway and mentioned that the Future Play titles use ads in a really kind of unique way. So maybe you guys can elaborate on that, considering like Future Play is a Nordic company.
Well, I've seen a few titles, especially with idle clickers, also adventure capitalists there, which do integrate ads well because they create a feeling that ads are a positive thing. So they give you a benefit, some kind of a benefit. So you double your earnings. You go into the games, you see the video straight away, and you can straight away double your money there. So it's a kind of a seamless integration that that creates a positive feeling that the player wants to watch the videos by himself. He's not feeling forced.
Right. And Janos, I know that like Idle Miner is obviously a idle kind of clicker game. Did you guys take some of those best practices from Future Play?
Yeah, so of course, like Future Play is one of the big innovator. Like in the, I guess they termed the word Future Play, where like people or like a game monetizes heavily on like ads and rewarded videos and that stuff. And yeah, of course, like with our game Idle Miner Tycoon, we do the same thing. Exactly. So, for example, if like we have technical issues with one of the networks and there's like no video available, people complain about it. So right. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I've noticed that in a few situations as well. That I mean, that's why the integration is so important. If players do not get paid after watching a video, of course, it creates a negative experience, and then you end up with negative reviews.
Right. Great. Well, thank you guys for your comments. Any questions from the audience for our panelists here? You guys have a couple guys that have a lot of experience in the monetization space. Any questions for them? No? We're good? All right.
I'll ask a question. Oh, there's a question. Go on. Hold on.
Thanks. My name is Kimmo Kari from Rival Games. This obvious question for an indie without publisher, without an extensive war chest of several tens of millions per year that Rovio stated is needed for serious user acquisition. I heard also strategies that you win one country. You go country by country. You, for example, conquer Italy first, make it profitable there, then you have some profit that you can take in other country and blah blah blah. Do you believe do you believe that this way could be good approach if there is not big war chest, or do you have something else to propose?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So for us, it was like in the first place, when we started we started with Idle Miner Tycoon. We relied heavily just on organic downloads, and we released it globally. And we had luck there, just that we had so many organic downloads, and then could build up the company and could build up like a user acquisition team, a marketing team, and all that stuff. Like what I would do is just try to release it globally, so you get some traction and can build up from there. Then like move from country to country.
Okay. No. Then the second question, I've heard argument against launching the game globally that if Apple is going to feature you and you don't same time have the war chest, then you miss the burst effect possibility. So if you just launch it in few countries, then Apple doesn't feature you because you don't yet want to be featured. You want to save the featuring when you really launch it globally and you have some money in the chest. So that's case by case, of course.
Yeah, so Apple really loves like the global feature thing. So if you are like a big company, you would like soft launch in 1 or 2 or 3 smaller countries, test it and polish it, and then go to Apple and say, hey, we're doing like a release. Will you help us in some way? And they probably will. But like as a small developer or as an indie team, like chances to get featured are like really low, I would say. And you like, especially for an indie team or for a small team, you shouldn't build a game just for a feature. It should survive like without a feature.
Yeah. Yeah. Never do that actually. Okay, thanks.
Cool. Do you have any other questions? Fair enough.
All right.
I'm going to ask one final question, so I'm skipping in front of the camera. If you had one piece of advice, because obviously you get expertise, what would be your one top piece of advice? I always ask this easy question.
Well, I think I would probably stick with creating opt-in scenarios. So really just integrated the game in a way that is positive and that actually brings value to the players.
Fair play.
Yeah, so the first thing is you have to build like a great product. So when we started, we had like one point where we tested ads technically, but we built a great product, so you could build in anything else at a later stage. So we had no in-app purchases, no nothing, but like a great core game and a great product.
Okay. All right. Well, I think is anything else? Chris?
No, we're good.
Okay, can we have a round of applause, please, for the panel and for Chris?